Hello, everybody, and welcome to the chaos that is my live streams. Once again, I do apologize for these things. I was just working on this computer not 30 minutes ago. But fortunately, thanks to my supporters, I am getting a new one. However, it all has to be delivered. So I hope that you folks can hear me. Right now, I am unable to see it unless it happens to pop up on my phone while I'm talking to you folks, but I hope you're able to hear me. And once again, I do apologize. I've been struggling for the last 15 minutes to get this to function, and it's been giving me the same problems over and over again. So, in any event, I'm rebooting at the moment. It should be taken care of. And in the meantime, instead of talking about my woes and technical issues that my channel always seems to struggle through, I'm going to go ahead and start talking about the topic at hand. So tomorrow, NASA is supposed to have an announcement of some kind. Definitely need coffee. That always puts me in a better mood, regardless of the circumstances. And of course, I am very, very eager to blow this thing apart as soon as I am able to do so. And once again, the computer is hesitating. It doesn't want to reboot because it wants to continue torturing me, just to give you a quick update on what it's doing. But yes, an announcement tomorrow, and there's been a lot of speculation online in terms of what that announcement is going to be. So, all of that having been said, I have a contest going on right now. And for those of you who have read the description, you know what the conditions of the contest are. But I'm going to go ahead and review it. First of all, I'm giving away 2 pieces of Angry Astronaut merchandise. The first one would be an Olympus Mons hoodie or whatever item you like. If you want a tote bag or a t-shirt or something, the hoodie is the most valuable one of these items that I have. And on the back, I'm not going to bother trying to show it to you, but on the back, there is a map of the Tharsis region of Mars that, of course, is well known for all of its massively tall volcanoes. And I have added the Angry Astronaut logo to the item as well because people asked me to. Although I'm very grateful for the logo because a supporter created it for me, I didn't. A lot of the merchandise I don't want to be about me. I want it to be about Mars. I want it to be about our future when it comes to exploring the solar system. I don't know if that's idealistic or what, but I like merchandise that's more about the amazing things in our solar system rather than just about my channel. But at the same time, I am flattered that you guys prefer the merchandise. At least you seem to prefer the merchandise that has the Angry Astronaut logo on it, which is a very good logo, by the way. I didn't make it, and it's very creative. I'm a big fan of it. So that being the case, I did add it to this particular piece of merchandise. In addition to that, if I brought it in here in the middle of all this chaos, I guess I didn't. I also have a hoodie with the Mars Phobos base. Mars base Alpha. It's got a little patch on it and such. And I thought I had brought it in here, but I guess through all this chaos, I didn't. But you can see it on my store. It's very obvious. And you can get one of those also. And the conditions of the contest are as follows. I have listed the email address that I would like to use, and the questions that I have are: number one, what do you think the announcement is going to be tomorrow? And number two, watch my War on the Moon video and tell me what I think are the most compelling reasons for us to go to war on the moon. There are, of course, many different reasons, but the ones that I thought, and there is more than one correct answer to that. So and you don't have to get both of them right. You can, if you get entries essentially into a random drawing for the items, and that's pretty much it. So, the Discord members do get some additional entries. I don't believe in contests that are only for Patreon members. I've never been a big fan of that, just because I don't like the idea of somebody paying me money just so they can have a chance to win something. I don't like that. But at the same time, I do think that folks who are supporting me should receive some additional entries into a contest. So whether you're one thing, you do need to be a subscriber though if you want to enter the contest. Of course, that's free. So anybody can win this, is what I'm trying to say, which is the very spirit of these live streams, is the fact that anybody can watch. If you want to participate, however, then you join my Discord server. But you can still watch for free. And once again, this episode again is ad free. So the way to support this obviously is now it's trying to do a security scan because it just loves to make my life horrible. Excuse me. So obviously the ways to support this channel is through merch or being a Patreon member. But I've got a lot of different merch coming out. A lot of it really doesn't have a lot to do with the Angry Astronaut in particular, but rather with things that are associated with the solar system. And I plan to roll more of these things out as time goes on, just because that's what this channel is about, for the most part, is, man's exploration of the solar system and our colonization of the solar system, not just that. And Discord is starting up in the midst of McAfee insisting that it needs to do a scan, which it doesn't. So once again, I really hope you can hear me right now, given how many people are watching. I'm pretty certain that you probably still can. Otherwise, you would have signed off. So in any event, there have been quite a number of speculations about what the announcement might have to be, what it's all about. Obviously, it's about the moon. It seems to have something to do with the human exploration of the moon. That does indeed seem to be the focus of it. And there are some other things that have to do with it. Now that I'm finally online, I'll go ahead and see whether or not we've got everything going. So bear with me for just one moment. And once again, once I have my new computer, it should be the next episode or the one after that at the latest. And once again, I am so sorry about this. Okay, questions and answers. Here we go. Bink. And are people hearing me? McAfee, another millionaire with questionable business practices. Yes, it looks like people can hear me right now. Hello, everybody. Thank you. I'm very happy that you guys can hear me. So looks like Timothy we have online. Thank you very much. Framrick as well. Like and subscribe to enter. Yes, indeed. If you are not a Patreon member. And by the way, if you're just watching this recorded, you can still enter as long as you enter before the announcement tomorrow. Actually, I've put the cutoff at noon Greenwich Mean Time, not noon Eastern Standard Time in the United States, but noon Greenwich Mean Time, since so many of my supporters are from other countries. So I decided to just kind of make things a little bit more universal. So in any event, Tartan, Texas, hello. I think you're pretty new, as I recall. I think you may have been there the last time. Any speculation on the announcement? Yes, as a matter of fact, because of the people who have been invited and because of the instruments that were used to gather this information that's being announced. Speculation is the what the moon is made out of is my opinion. Now that's a very vague answer, but I think that it has something to do with what kind of something on the moon that we didn't know was there. Now, does that mean a lot of water that we weren't counting on? Maybe. Is it cheese, as Framrick just suggested? Yeah, that would be nice. Depending on the kind of cheese. I'm a big fan of Irish and English cheeses, but methane, says Tartan, Texas. That would be a heck of a discovery. That would suggest that we have some sort of volcanism going on the moon, or we have some sort of life present there that we didn't. And if that's the case, wow. And what an announcement that would make would be the possibility of some sort of bacterial life existing in one of these shaded craters where we have ice and that sort of thing. But for life, you don't need water. You need salts. You need other sorts of things. So in any event, it's that. But yeah, that's a guess that was just made. Was maybe methane. Phosphine again, says Cully. Wow, that would be quite a discovery as well. It's but yeah, the this definitely is going to have something to do with the composition of the moon. Is it going to be just that there's a lot more water than we thought there was? That is what a lot of folks are speculating. However, other people are speculating that, is it more metallic than we thought it was? Are there more, metals available than we thought? So, and of course, some of the wildest, speculations is that we're finding evidence of the possibility of bacterial life. That would be something else. Framrick, giant rectangular black monolith. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That would be that would be something else. One of those self-replicating probes that the aliens like to send out to keep an eye on everybody. Avinash says, I was thinking something about resources or mining, not so much life related. Yeah, yeah. Something that's valuable to the human race. We already know about the helium-3, but maybe there's something else there that we really, really desperately need, that we didn't know about, and now we do. That would be a fantastic thing and a real driving force to get the human race to the moon, because we can't do mining exclusively with robots. I mean, we can try, but robots have a bad, tendency of getting hung up on things, getting stuck. And if you don't have humans there to free them, then, they're kind of screwed. So there are some issues with trying to do mining exclusively with robots. Lava tubes with ice inside, says Framrick. Yeah, that could be a real possibility. Excuse me. We do know that the moon had extensive volcanic activity in its ancient past. So having lava tubes where sunlight has never touched, and therefore ice being in there, could very well be a possibility. Sigmund said oil. Yeah, that's a funny one. Obviously, we would need hydrocarbons and things that are only produced by generally produced by life in order to have that. Let's certainly hope that they don't find that there. Any current subsurface activity, says Cully. Yeah, maybe some sort of earthquakes, moonquakes, that sort of thing. That would be something else. Sigmund says oil should get the Yanks moving. I'm afraid I must confess that's probably true. But it would also get the Russians moving, in all fairness. Putin really, really likes oil. As a matter of fact, he's gambled his entire economy on it. So yeah, it's not just us, but definitely that would get us going. I would say that's a fair comment there, Sigmund. Okay, and you'll excuse me, I have a bit of a headache today, so warm things always help with that. Framik says crashed failed Soviet moon lander from 1967. It's possible that we could have found that. I don't know how exciting that would be. I guess maybe NASA people might find that to be exciting. But a lot of other folks are just going to give a great big so what. Why have a big announcement about that? I don't know. I would think that that was cool that we found that and could dig it up someday or something and see maybe what went wrong, that sort of thing. Timothy says, I'll have to look at the article again, but apparently a seismic test done resulted in speculation about a hollower interior. I think it's far fetched. Yes, well, of course, if it has a more hollow interior, then people are going to go back to the 19th century speculations about moon men, right? There's all this speculation that the moon is actually an artificial satellite, and it has a hollow interior with living things inside it and all that other stuff. If you watch programs like that, which when I have nothing better to do, I'll watch things like that. I want to make one thing perfectly clear: I don't believe any of that. I don't believe that it's even remotely possible that that's the case. And I'm a guy who believes in extraterrestrial civilizations and that we have, ignored certain astronomical phenomena, which are strong indications of extraterrestrial civilizations. And even so, I think that that's just ridiculous stuff. But still, people talk about it, just like they talk about pyramids on Mars and all that kind of thing. And once again, not to say that we couldn't find some kind of artifact on Mars someday. It's entirely possible that some alien species visited our solar system millions of years ago. And since Mars doesn't resurface itself the way the Earth does, that would be a good place to find something like that. But once again, unless we have people actually there, finding these things, digging them up, whatever, you're never going to find it. There's never going to be, indisputable evidence that these things are there. A wormhole, says wormhole alien. Well, that's appropriate. At last I can go home. I'll be back for live streamings if Starlink can sort something out. Well, yes, indeed. I'm not sure what wormhole brought you here in the first place, but let's certainly hope that you're able to safely go back. Avinash says, if I were a little bit more ethically malleable, and the head of NASA, I may want my government to think there's oil in them there craters. Yeah, that would definitely be something that could get people moving. There's no question about that. But of course, it would, of course, also destroy NASA's credibility forever if we found out that that was not indeed the case. Although, just to make a quick political statement here that may get people's blood boiling, I don't know, but we said the same thing about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, didn't we? And it didn't destroy the credibility of the intelligence agencies of most of the major Western nations who swore up and down that they were there. So who knows? Who knows whether it would, how badly it would destroy the credibility of NASA. Okay, Sanatogen, hello. While we wait with interest to see if Blue Origin can persuade the U.S. military to continue funding, is there any date for the Starship hop? Last I heard, it's supposed to be taking place this week, but I don't know about the exact date. And I'm excited. I'm excited as hell. I mean, usually I don't keep up with things like static fires and that sort of thing. I usually don't watch those live, just because I don't know. Not to say I'm not interested, but I find myself very, very busy creating. As you know, I put out a lot of videos. So staying as busy as I am, a static fire is something that I'll generally not watch. But yeah, this next launch, I'm definitely going to be watching that. That's exciting as all get out. Okay, Avinash, that was very funny. The Starlink satellite on your side of the wormhole. Okay, Framic says there could be more water in the lunar interior materials than we thought, actually inside a rock matrix rather than surface ice. And the last study was way back in 2010. Very interesting. And an article, Framic very nicely linked an article. I appreciate that, mate. So yeah, fantastic. Very, very interesting. So yeah, once again, water does indeed seem to be one of the most popular things that people are talking about. There is a scientist on the panel who is specifically oriented towards water and the whole study of the presence of water on the moon, which has made people think that that's what it's about. But then again, he could be on the panel just because, they're always going to be asking questions about water on the moon. That's going to be an extremely common question that anybody from the media is going to be asking. So, you should have him present at just about every announcement about new discoveries on the moon. So that's not necessarily the case. Um, okay, so um, let's see. ASN, could you please be more specific about exactly what you want me to say there? Just go ahead and put it out word for word what you would like me to say. And this is a new thing that one of my supporters is rolling out. So I just want to make sure that I say this exactly correctly. Something very exciting associated, well, partnered more so with this channel. Framrick, could be more evidence of high value asteroid impacts and craters, metallic types, carbonaceous types. NASA panel has an exploration expert, infrared observatory expert, so likely to be surface or slightly subsurface find. Yes, I do agree. And once again, if we have C-class asteroids that have impacted on the moon and survived, and you have large deposits of carbon present, then that is the missing element to producing methylox fuel on the moon, which is going to be a huge game changer, not just for SpaceX, but lots of other people as well, if we were to discover something like that. Because you can make carbon out of water, rather, you can make methane out of carbon and water. And I've talked about this a million times through the Sabatier process, the Sabatier method. So we could do in situ manufacturing of the fuel necessary for the Starship, also for Dynetics alpaca lander, a lot of things. Then we wouldn't have to be bringing methane from Earth or from asteroids, that sort of thing. That could be a huge, huge discovery for the future exploration of the moon for everybody involved, not just SpaceX. Tartan, Texas says, I wonder if other stuff can be trapped in ice from ancient past, a bit how stuff is trapped in the permafrost, though that stuff isn't ancient. Yeah. Once again, spectrographic analyses can reveal a lot of stuff. So who knows? There could be some fascinating discoveries they roll out that nobody expected. Who are the guests invited to the NASA moon announcement? What are their backgrounds to help refine my answer to your challenge, etc.? I had that up on my computer and now it isn't up. However, it is really easy to look up. And I'm not trying to put you off, Avinash. I'm sorry. I'm just afraid to pull anything up on my computer right now and cause more problems. So pull it back and just say NASA announcement moon. There are plenty of articles that show that. Okay, I've just been reconnected. Sorry about that, guys. Almost nobody calls this number. It's a totally different number than my usual one. I got two cell phones specifically for that, and yet I'm still running into problems like this. It's really annoying. Okay, Timothy, talking about realistic speculation, something to do with the gateway station, which needs an automated fuel depot built on the Bigelow Aerospace A330 model. Very interesting. Yeah, maybe so. That would definitely be fascinating. Okay, specifically, I will be a guest and taking questions for a series run by another space nut for our series Becoming Multiplanetary, answering listener questions about future tech needed to get to Mars. So that's word for word from Total Space, a podcast that's brand new, just coming out. And I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I get that linked in the description as soon as all of that is done. And I'm going to say that a couple of times during the course of that. I'm very excited about all of this, and it does involve some new innovations about the Starship and other things. I'm not going to give away too much, but that could make us getting to Mars a lot more realistic possibility. Alien Zookeeper, there's carbon and then there are moon craters. That would be very good news, not just for SpaceX, but just about anybody who's because so many people are using Methalox now. Okay. Yes. A link for under this live video to. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. By all means. Is this on Total Space, Avinash? Yes. Okay. So yes, Total Space. In the link, I'm going to go ahead and just read it out real quick, but I will have it in the description. But it's anchor.fm, Frank Mary, /total space /message. And it's HTTPS, by the way. So in any event, that is the link if you're interested in that. And I wish I was technically savvy enough to have that pop up on the screen for you at some point. Very soon, actually, I'm going to have much, much better live streaming capability once I have a better computer and better software to go with it. If it's rock related, could be water, could be kerogens. Kerogens inside the rock matrix would be very valuable. It's solid, insoluble matter, but it would contain the carbon needed for many uses, detected by infrared spectroscopy, normally formed by organic processes, however. Interesting ideas, definitely. Okay. Yeah, the stream, that is indeed what happened. A lot of people were talking about how the stream froze, and that's because somebody was calling this number, which is shocking, I guess, again, to me, because I got a new phone with a new number specifically for this sort of thing, and yet still people are finding it and calling it. It's really irritating. Okay. Briefing participants listed on nasa.gov. Paul Hertz, Astrophysics Division Director at NASA headquarters. Jacob Bleacher, Chief Exploration Scientist for the Human Exploration and Operations Mission Directorate at NASA headquarters. Casey Honiball, postdoctoral fellow at NASA's Goddard Flight Center, Greenbelt, Maryland. By the way, Casey Honiball is actually the individual who's more oriented towards the water stuff. He tends to be more oriented towards that. And Nassim Rangwala, who is the project scientist for the SOFIA mission, the SOFIA being that package that flies on a 747 at high altitude to scan the moon. All right, and it serves other purposes. Alien Zookeeper says carbonate and nitrate ore bodies, most likely impact sites, would be a fantastic find. It would indeed. It would change a lot. Another link just got put out from nasa.gov. Ricker, hello. Do you think laser cleaning could clean up spacesuits of regolith for astronaut health and safety? Maybe, sure. Lasers serve a lot of other purposes. Low-powered lasers. That would be a very interesting solution. I am sorry. Just to clarify, what I said about a podcast, it's actually a podcasting network. Okay. So, and once again, I'm no expert. I don't actually know the difference between a podcast and a podcasting network, but in any event, just wanted to make sure that that's differentiated. JFK on the moon. Hello. I think you're brand new. If so, thank you for joining us today. Bill Greer was found on the moon. moon. Avinash, in any event, yes, indeed, one of my favorite expressions. JFK on the moon, probably ice found very near, if on the surface at the South Pole. Well, we know a lot about that already, but maybe we found more. The implications of that would be very positive. Oh, gee. I even took ibuprofen. Okay, so if there's more ice on the moon, obviously, than we thought, then the resources available to us, if we're going to exploit the moon, are going to make things a little less competitive. It's if there's ice in a variety of different locations, then it doesn't have to be a bunch of bases at the same place. In some ways, I kind of hope that that's what the discovery is that there's a lot more water on the moon than we thought, because water is going to be key to our maintaining a permanent presence there and exploiting everything else on the moon, because we're going to need that water if we're going to exploit the moon. And it's not just that. There's other things. Oh, Boeing mug spotted in making an escape in a lunar crater. You're not going anywhere. Not until I have 40,000 subscribers, then you'll be going someplace in quite a number of pieces. Robocaller, yes, most probably. A robocaller found this number and was calling me. So and very annoying. Sorry about that. It was Jeff Bezos. I wouldn't be surprised. Oh, and I have something to mention in regards to that. I rolled out that video yesterday, and at first, it was just kicking butt, one of my most successful videos that I've rolled out, and then the numbers just plummeted. They plummeted. And until it was started to show up as a relatively unsuccessful video instead of a very successful video. And I changed the name of it. Some of you may have noticed it, from Blue Origin Sucks to Blue Origin Worse Than Ever. And then the numbers started going back up. It's almost like the YouTube algorithm is designed to attack videos that are saying things that are negative. It was really, I've never had it with this happen. I've released a lot of videos. I've never had this happen before. So in any event, that was really annoying. But the video does seem to be recovering now. Okay. My name is Jeff. All right. Press release is an exciting new discovery about the moon and references the agency's ambitious Artemis program. So it must be something exploration related, better landing site near an easier to reach water ice deposit, surface asteroid material opening to a lava tube. Yep. Lots of possibilities. Lots of different guesses. I'm very interested to hear. And once again, just to repeat, there's a contest with this. My email address is in the description. Send your guess as to what this announcement is going to be, number one. And then number two, watch my War on the Moon video that I released and give me a reason why we would one of my reasons as to why we would fight over the moon, why we would go to war. Those two things, send those answers, and you'll have entries. And there are two prizes. One of them is one of these Olympus Mons hoodies, and the other one is a lunar base 2040, or rather Mars base 2040 hoodie. Or if you don't want a hoodie, you can get something else. So, a tote bag, coffee cup, whatever, it's your choice. And also you must be in a country that Teespring will deliver to. There are very few countries that are excluded from that, but still, nevertheless, I just need to make that clear. If Teespring doesn't deliver to you, then I can't help you. And I'm sorry about that. Okay, press releases. Okay, hold on. Sorry. Sanatagen says, well, if the U.S. Department of Energy is signing an MOU with NASA, then SpaceX could be involved in a project. Yes, that could be very interesting. There's a lot of things SpaceX can do for Artemis. As a matter of fact, they're heavily involved already. So I think that that's very exciting. At the same time, of course, if everybody has seen my video that I released yesterday about Blue Origin, the whole thing that they did with the New Shepard was associated directly with a lunar lander. And that experiment package could have been put on a variety of different launch platforms. And yet they chose Blue Origin to take the contract. And given that they're directly involved in this bid, to me, that almost seems like a conflict of interests to do that. So it it troubles me. I think Artemis is in big trouble if they take that Blue Origin lander. I'm not kidding about that. It's not a personal grudge or anything. I think it's the most dangerous by far vehicle that we could put on the moon. Okay. Let's see if this is what NASA's good at. Teamwork with research and then let commercial companies do the heavy lifting to get people there safely. Yes, indeed. Commercial companies are the folks to provide the heavy lifting vehicles. Sigmund, what will the first settlements on the moon do? Science labs or some sort of factories? I would say the first ones are going to be scientific labs. I would say that's probably going to be the first thing. But it's going to be followed up pretty quickly. And yes, Cully, I agree with you. Fuel production, some other bootstrapping project. It's really important that we get in situ fuel production as quickly as possible on the moon. So that will probably happen. But yeah, I would say scientific first, but I would say it's going to be followed up by commercial lunar exploitation fairly quickly. There's got to be some company that's going to do it because there's way too much of value there. Aren't these proposals subject to change? Blue Origin's ladder could easily be changed. That's true, Synatogen, and I did think about that. But what would they change it to is what I'd like to know, because the crew capsule, the ascent element is way up on top. How do you get the astronauts up there? A mini elevator of some kind or something like that? But given how the thing is set up, it isn't straight up and down like the Starship. So it'd be tough to put a little, a tiny elevator on it. Obviously you can have like a pole there of some kind that you clip yourself to, like you're ascending a rock face or something like that. But again, as it was pointed out with my interview with Dynetics, if you have an astronaut that needs help getting up that ladder, getting up to that crew capsule at all is going to be a real pain for something that tall. I mean, it's over 10 meters. So it is an issue. And given that Blue Origin has already rolled out their mock-up, to change their mock-up in midstream like that it would fill me with a sense of concern about the entire team designing it. If they had overlooked something that obvious right off the bat, it would make me wonder, what else have you guys overlooked? So anyway, okay. Fuel depots, Timothy says, should be a priority of any organization that gets to the moon. Yes, indeed. As I have said many times, Timothy and everybody else, I think fuel depots in low Earth orbit supported by the moon is the way to go with the Starship and refueling the Starship rather than launching tanker after tanker. I really think that it's going to be a lot easier to refuel the Starship with one fuel depot in orbit that you can, as opposed to all of these scrubs and everything else that we go through with launches. I don't think the Starship is going to be immune to that. And if you're sending up fuel, multiple times, 4 times at least, in order to, and that's just to put 1/3 of the fuel to a 1/3 fill up rather for the Starship, with 4 launches. I think that it's a lot better to support it with a fuel depot in orbit. It just seems to be the best way to do it. You can have the fuel loaded up, all loaded up before the Starship even launches, and then you don't have to worry about scrubs. It just seems that that's the best way to do it. NASA are claiming the moon, then Mars, so they'll aggressively attempt to set up a Mars shot from the moon. That's an interesting one. Another space nut. I think that that would be a very interesting proposal and a very good one. It's a lot easier to get to get to Mars from the moon than it is from Earth, in terms of delta V. Way easier. Okay, Framrick says, wouldn't it be amazing to have scientific research outposts on the moon, radio telescopes on the far side, sheltered from the Earth's noise? Yes, that would be fantastic. Radio telescopes on the far side of the moon would have a much better chance of picking up, well, all kinds of radio astronomy, but picking up signals from another civilization, especially. We have a ton of people watching by now. Thank you so much, everybody, for being a part of this. And once again, I'm honored. Thank you. I'm really excited that so many folks have tuned in. You know how to support this channel if you want to. And as I say, we have a contest going on as well. And all of that is provided in the description. Please please subscribe. Okay. I would, very much appreciate that. And that, of course, will lead to me destroying this Boeing Starliner cup as soon as possible. I need to get to 40,000 subscribers in order to do that. And I'm just saying that because there are more people currently watching by far than I think I've ever seen. So wow, I'm shocked. Okay, so is it cheating if I call NASA's headquarters or the Sophia Missions Ames Research Center until they give me an answer? I would not advise that. But I have a feeling that there's plenty of reporters who are trying to do that as well. But if you can somehow convince them to tell you, more power to you. But somehow I don't think that that's going to be doable. Okay, Timothy said, imagine the size that you could make building, and this is a radio telescope, building it in a big crater, even bigger than the one that we have in Arecibo. Yes, indeed, much bigger. Sigmund says, so we have labs and factories, military bases next. I certainly hope not. But yeah, that's entirely possible. And that would be, it's not necessary. I mean, who do we have to be afraid of except each other up there? But at the same time, yeah, I would say that there is a strong possibility for that. As a matter of fact, Avinash said that these military bases might be first. And I hope not. I really hope not. But yeah, that's entirely possible. There's so many things of value on the moon that we could fight over, that putting a military presence, especially now that China, their space organization, of course, is tied directly with their military, and then the United States has the Space Force, a space-oriented organization specifically tied in with our military. Really, the Chinese in the United States are the only ones who have that. So, it's almost like us squaring off already against each other. Space Force versus the Chinese Space Agency. I hope that doesn't happen, but it might. Cully says, sadly, militarism would be the nature of any organization going to a new space frontier. Maybe no hostility will be required, but the threat of hostility on a frontier might be necessary to prevent your claim from being taken. Oh, yes. And really quick, I have a subreddit that's being created by one of my supporters. Cyclonics is what he goes by, and he's creating a subreddit. I'm thrilled. I don't go to Reddit very often, but apparently I have a subreddit being created. And once I know where the link is and everything, I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. Okay. Oh, and then Timothy just put a link on for any Reddit account holders. Please upvote this post to improve Angry's SEO. So yes, I guess that's all been put on Reddit. So thank you guys. Wow, I never even thought to go on Reddit. Really, I've never. I don't go there much, but like and subscribe, please, guys. Once again, Framica says that. Tara Anasazi, hello and good day. Good to see you. All the way in Australia, which means I know what time it is for you right now. Wow. Okay, the motor is sugar powered, so you can easily make it. Oh, the cup rocket. Yes, that a lot of people have been talking about that. I might launch a couple of test cups to see, how easily I can do it, because I'm not the most technical guy in the world when it comes to do it myself. I'm much better at just taking a bunch of explosives and blowing things apart, but nevertheless. Okay, doing a Borat. Avinash says I was going to use my best Jim Bridenstine impression plus faked caller ID. Like I say, I'm all in favor of innovation when it comes to people getting the answer. Okay, so Timothy says if fusion power is utilizing the helium-3 method, it occurs that the moon is an abundant source. Yes, and we've talked a lot about helium-3. So, and it being on the moon, maybe there's something new in terms of the presence of it. Tartan, Texas says looking forward to seeing Space Force One. Betting it's not a Boeing this time. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I would be shocked if it was. Framrick just put in another link saying a good but long paper here on using the infrared to detect water ice on the moon using temperature differences. Good. So I appreciate that. And so and by the way, all that's pinned here on the Discord server. Okay. Oh, wow. Already making SEO backlinks with Reddit, says Timothy. Thank you. I'm really touched. Seriously. I'm really touched that you guys are doing this to help this channel out. It's amazing. Really appreciate it. Really, really appreciate it. Okay. Framrick says, I know a certain gentleman who launches high altitude balloons to 100,000 feet. Do you fancy dropping the Boeing mug from the edge of space? Wow, that would be something else. If he's willing to do it, yeah, that would be awesome. Although, of course, I don't know if we would ever find the remains of it afterwards. But that would be something else with a GoPro mount. Oh, yeah, watch it plummet to its doom. Yeah, that would be very funny indeed. Okay, so we got a couple more people typing in right now. Once again, we have a contest going on. Two different pieces of merchandise. One is this Olympus Mons hoodie. The other one is Mars Base Alpha. It doesn't have to be a hoodie. It can be a t-shirt. It can be, whatever, but it's off of my web store, giving away two of them to random people who come up with correct answers on what the announcement is going to be, and also watch my War on the Moon video to tell us, why would we go to war over the moon? So since we have so many people watching right now, I thought I would do a reminder on that, and you can win if you're not a Patreon supporter. Patreon folks do get some extra entries, but everybody has the potential to vote as long as you're a subscriber. That's one condition, is you do need to be a subscriber. Okay. Yep. They are launched with GoPros. Interesting. Okay. The suggestion is excellent. Oh, the high altitude balloon, the next level, the mug should be fitted out with Raspberry Pi sensors, GPS, live streaming. Oh my Lord. That would be something else. That would almost be advertisement for Boeing almost. Live GPS coordinates. Oh my God, that would be funny. Overlook Horizon is what the name of this organization is, apparently, that does these balloons to the edge of space. Wow. Acceleration data. Well, I assume it's going to hit terminal velocity. I wonder what terminal velocity will be. Mr. Go Jangles, hello. Yes, my only problem with Fuel Depot in space is getting the fuel into space. Right now, we don't have any manufacturing there. Be years before we'd have one built on the moon. I think the best case is to change the Starship to nuclear with just enough traditional fuel to land and launch itself from Mars orbit. That is another really good idea. I'm a big advocate of nuclear power. It depends on how quickly we can start to get in situ fuel set up on the moon, because everybody is going to want to do that anyway. Everybody's focused on that. ULA. Of course, I made a video about that recently. There's a lot of organizations that are very focused on getting fuel depots set up in lunar orbit and low Earth orbit. I don't know, it may not take us that long to get all that set up, but who knows? Once again, it depends on how much money all of these companies want to invest. We can measure the terminal velocity of Boeing. That's funny, Cully. That's very funny. We can expect around 2,000 feet for the Cup GoPro, and a shock case would do. Well, thank you. Wow, this is very interesting. Okay, Tyrion Asazi says if we can manufacture fuel on the moon, it can be easily injected into Earth orbit using rail guns. Yes, I have talked about that. Electromagnetic rail methods of getting fuel into low Earth orbit. It's just so much more efficient to deliver stuff from the moon to low Earth orbit than the other way around, or even just to get things from Earth to low Earth orbit. Our gravity is so incredibly impossible to overcome. 90% of the mass of a rocket has to be burned up in the form of fuel to get to low Earth orbit. It's nuts, how much fuel it's required to escape our gravity. Any way that we can implement to get around that problem is worth the investment. It just is. Because, we'll look at the SLS and how crazy expensive that has been just so we can go all the way from the Earth to the moon without refueling. And still it's not done. And look at, what the Saturn V required in order to get to the moon. And that's to get a pretty small payload there, not much at all. So it's just a no-brainer. This is the way that we need to be implementing, fueling for ships going out into the solar system is fuel from the moon, fuel from near Earth asteroids going to low Earth orbit. That red name looks good. Welcome to Team Angry. Yes, indeed. Welcome. Do you think the announcement will help affect the landing site for Artemis? South Pole was at first, but there may be a shift from Jim Bridenstine back to the old Apollo sites. Framrick, that idea was actually debunked. Jim made it very clear in a statement that we are going to land in a new spot. With the very first place that we go on the moon is going to be to a new location, a place that we would look to establish a base. It was theorized that maybe we go back to the old locations, but it just doesn't serve the same scientific purpose. Going to the South Pole or something along those lines is where we need to go. Tartan, Texas, do you got any thoughts on Virgin Galactic and their $250,000 price tag? Seems to me they're way too late with their approach. I agree with you, Tartan, Texas. We are too late with that approach. It is, and I'm sorry, there's a big post that just got in there. Virgin Galactic, I was so excited about what they were doing and the fact that they got something into suborbital flight. But do you know how many years ago that was now? And they still haven't managed to get a whole lot further. And it's very disappointing. And, they had one person get killed, sadly, on Spaceship Two on one of their prototypes. But that was because he made a mistake. He pushed the wrong button, apparently. Why do you need to hold up the program for that long just because of piloting error?
Now, if it was something else, okay, but it's they are getting to the game late now, and that is unfortunate for them because they were ahead of the game, way ahead of the game, not that long ago. And then they just kind of fell off the map. Richard Branson is another guy that really should be putting more of his personal fortune into this. If he wants to be successful, he really needs to go after this if he wants if he wants Virgin Galactic to be competitive. Although that having been said, the Poland is sending a mission to Mars, one of the small CubeSats, to Mars using Virgin Galactic. They've already set up a contract, apparently. And that is pretty amazing stuff. I'm not sure what they have in mind, but it's a CubeSat to orbit Mars, and they're going to use Virgin Galactic to get it there. So that's some pretty exciting stuff. Okay, Ricker, would I consider a live stream from Boca Chica and report on the next Starship launch, investigative report on site to see how 304L stainless steel is welded for space firsthand? I would say that I am not going to go to Boca Chica for the next launch for the first hop. I will go later, but I don't want to make a commitment to live stream from Boca Chica just yet, just because it's happening so soon. And another thing is we don't know exactly when. SpaceX doesn't really announce these things. Instead, they do FAA clearance and stuff like that, but they don't really they don't give exact dates. So that makes it tough when you're traveling there, camping out there or whatever you have to do, because there's no way you're going to get a hotel room, that sort of thing. Okay, so Esprit says from ASN, European system providing refueling infrastructure and telecommunications consists in two main elements. Very interesting. The first, named HLCS or Halo Lunar Communication System, ensures the communication between the Lunar Gateway and the Moon. Launch is planned in 2024 with Halo, the first habitation and logistics module supplied by the United States and derived from the Cygnus resupply cargo, for which the Thales-Alenia, I guess, space has been selected to provide its primary structure and micrometeoroid protection system. It includes a second part named ERM, the Esprit refueling module, which combines the refueling of the gateway with a small pressurized module with windows. ERM will provide active refueling of the gateway with xenon and chemical propellants to extend its lifetime, but also prepare for reusable lunar lander or deep space transport for Mars. Thank you for this very detailed comment, by the way. ERM's pressurized tunnel provides wide windows offering a 360-degree view on space, Moon, Earth, and the gateway. This pressurized volume will also contain various logistics and other elements for the crew. Delivery is planned for 2026. Very fascinating and really cool. Very interested with that solution for making sure that the gateway has what it needs in order to be able to remain operational and to stay in the proper orbit. Virgin, not a very long ride compared to Blue Origin. Yeah, like I say, Virgin, I think lost their advantage. They could have sent people up into low Earth orbit, space tourists. That they had a bunch of people signed up, and then they kind of let the opportunity go. It's unfortunate. So anyway, that sentence is wrong in so many ways. Okay, and then another link, payload competition on a SpaceX Falcon 9 chicken nugget. Okay, I'm not going to go into all that, but and a 4G network also head into space. Okay, very interesting. Payload competition on a SpaceX Falcon 9, some sort of new thing going on. I'm interested in that the chicken nugget part. Okay, Framrick, I wonder if they've identified a gold dust site, nice flat landing area, water ice within reach, good solar power availability. There are 300 likes. Wow, that's cool. A few more and a few more subscribers. Yeah, closer and closer to the Boing mug destruction. Yes, indeed. Subscribe, guys, so we can blow up the mug. Yeah, it's kind of amazing how many people are watching right now. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you tuning in. So you have no hotel worries on a Boca place to stay. Perhaps suggest just renting a nice RV. Yeah, I've considered that. RVs do cost a little bit of money to rent. I don't know where the closest major city is that I would land in, that sort of thing. But I mean, I'm going there at some point. I just can't see myself going there in the next week or so. They're going to be launching that thing very soon. I definitely will go for a launch. I just don't see it happening here in the next few days. That would be just a little too extreme. Back to the topic at hand. We've had a lot of talk about what could the announcement be. We've talked about water. We talk about the consistency of the moon, the metallic elements. Something regarding the consistency of the moon seems to be the most likely thing. Maybe we found carbon. Maybe we found lots of speculation, and all of them have implications. If we find a lot more water on the moon, that means that sustaining operations there is going to be a lot easier. That'll make a big difference, especially if we have lots of countries going there besides just Artemis. I think that will make a big difference. If there are metallic elements there, that could mean a lot of different things. If there's tungsten there, then my little nightmare scenario about launching tungsten rods of God from the moon becomes a possibility. Using the moon as a platform to launch weapons becomes a possibility if there's a lot more metallic substances there and deposits. Let's hope not, or let's hope that nobody tries to use it for that. But that's another possibility. Yes. Thinking back to the last but one video, open science and sharing, but sometimes it's best to keep things more confidential, such as really good colonization sites, for example. Yeah, we may not want to reveal the best place to set up a base on the moon. Then it's going to be a race to see who gets there first. There could be competition over it, that sort of thing. Too much information. It's hard to say. There's a lot of, okay. Brownsville is a short drive, apparently. I'm not sure what the plane ticket prices are to a place like Brownsville, Texas. I have a friend in Austin. I have no idea how far away Austin is from Boca Chica, but I will definitely go there at some point. Just don't know when. All right, I'm gonna do a little advertisement for an organization called Bojangles. I don't know if they have these anywhere but the United States, but they have very good tea. I drink it unsweetened, which is disgusting to most people in the South, but I do that to save my teeth. Tiranasazi, I honestly do not know what Bojangle is. Yeah, it's a chicken, fried chicken restaurant. Very, very popular, especially in the South. Okay, that's the only thing I worry about, says Framrick, with Starship considerably dropping the cost to orbit to less than $50 per kilogram or less. Makes rods from God payloads more likely. Yes, indeed. Could happen if the Space Force ever hires or commissions starships. Yes. Anybody who starts that is getting themselves into some very deep shit. I mean, I'm just going to be blunt about this. If you're going to start that and start putting strategic weapons in space, you better be ready for things to get really nasty, because the moment that one person does it, everybody else is going to react, and they're going to try to knock down your strategic platform, or at least they're going to have plans to. And can you imagine the cloud of debris that would be created in low Earth orbit if, somebody were to blow up something the size of a starship, 100, 150, 200 tons, or however much it is in orbit, how much debris that would create? It would be cataclysmic to the International Space Station alone, along with all the satellites we have in orbit. That's some scary stuff. So I really hope nobody goes that route. But yeah, it does concern me. The moment you start putting strategic weapons in space or on the moon, you are playing a dangerous game. Even the Soviet Union was very hesitant to do that once the treaty was signed. Even that 23 millimeter cannon that they created for use in space, that I have detailed in my War on the Moon video. Even that they kept top secret, and tested it only when they were going to deorbit the Salyut space station that it was on, to keep it a secret. And that's just a cannon, not a strategic level weapon. So, it's, if you're going to do stuff like that, you better get ready for the shit to hit the fan. That's all I've got to say. Okay, so what other space exploration or SpaceX YouTube channels do I watch? Oh boy, I watch them all. To the Future, definitely one of my favorites. They've been a close partner of this channel for a long time. Love them. They are fantastic. John Michael Gaudier. I watch him a great deal just because he reports on things that a lot of people don't. Talks a lot about, it's discoveries, astronomical discoveries that other folks don't talk a great deal about. The possibility of extraterrestrial civilizations based on astronomical phenomena that we observe. He's highly scientific in how he does things. He's not, one of these extremists. He's very, very conservative in how he reports his information. But anyway, John Michael Gaudier, he actually has two channels. He does a really good job, and I like his stuff. And of course, all the other usual suspects, definitely, Everyday Astronaut. Of course, he does some very in-depth stuff, and really, a fantastic channel. There's no question about that. And What About It, of course, that goes without saying. That's definitely that's where I get a lot of my information when it comes to stuff about the latest Starship developments. I mean, What About It stays on top of that stuff. So they're very good too. And of course, Boca Chica Gal, I keep up with her. Live streaming stuff, I oftentimes watch her channel just because she lets me use her footage. And that's also called NASA Spaceflight. So I watch that one too. They aren't going to bring nukes to the moon, says Tiranasazi. I agree. There's no need to bring nukes to the moon. You don't have to bring nukes to the moon. You just have to have kinetic penetrators of a relatively modest size to create a nuclear size explosion. So in any event, it really wouldn't take, nukes are detectable, large amounts of plutonium necessary, or, all of that can be picked up. But you don't have to bring nukes to the moon to make it a very dangerous platform for strategic weapons. Okay. Avinash says, scary thought given last week's close call, Leo Labs was tracking. Yeah. Putting a ton of debris in low Earth orbit is not a great thing. But I've made enough statements, I think, about what I think about, putting weapon platforms in space. Okay, Tyrannosaurus, we're talking about how hard it is to bring a few tons of fuel. Imagine an ICBM. I do indeed agree. I don't, and when Project Horizon, I talk about this in War on the Moon as well. Project Horizon was a project that the United States was seriously looking at in the early 1960s to put a subsurface base on the moon with nuclear weapons to provide the ultimate deterrent, the essentially a Doctor Strangelove doomsday machine, with enough missiles to launch a retaliatory strike that even if the Soviet Union were to launch a sneak attack and take out the United States' ability to retaliate, 3 days later or 2 days later comes a bunch of ICBMs from the moon that they would be incapable of stopping to wipe them out and win the war for the good old US of A. That was a concept that was really seriously looked into on a lot of different levels until they abandoned it. And they kept that a secret for quite some time, Project Horizon. So a lot of those details in War on the Moon, by the way, and I'm very, very glad that we didn't do that. I hope Bridenstine, Ricker says, I hope Bridenstine has heard the angry astronaut roar about astronauts needing an unsafe climbs with the ULA lander, Blue Origin lander, I think is what you say. So hope NASA announcement is going full steam behind the Dynetic solution or changing to SpaceX comfortable spacesuits. Fingers crossed. Yeah, mine too. I hope somebody has seen that, because it's just, ick. There's just there are too many issues with that lander. It's a lack of reusability and it's risky. I mean, what more do you need to disqualify it? Frankly, I don't even see how it made it to the top three. I think other folks had better solutions. Framrick pointing out nukes are highly unlikely, complex, need maintenance, expensive. Big rocks are tungsten rods, nice and simple, plus orbital denial weapons utilizing the Kessler effect. Yes, depressing, not on topic. Well, it is kind of on topic, though. The more resources we find on the moon and the more spread out they are, if we find water on the South Pole and the North Pole and a lot of other places to where there's plenty of room for countries to exploit the moon, then maybe we don't have to fight over it. Maybe China goes here and, Artemis goes here and the Russians go here. Then we don't have to be fighting over limited resources. So it might not be, tomorrow's announcement might actually be an optimistic announcement for the possibility of conflict in the future. Yes, Timothy, thank you for pointing that out. Marcus House, yes, I do watch Marcus House as well. So I'm sorry that Marcus House is actually also a fellow Patreon supporter of mine of SpaceX Vision, that creates some pretty cool animations. Also to the future as a Patreon supporter of him, but some of the animations that I use for starships and lunar starships and such, Marcus House is a fellow Patreon supporter of them. So in any event, yes, that's true. I do watch Marcus House. NASA Space Flight, Lab Padre. Yeah, and Lab Padre, I'm not saying they don't do good work. They do very good work. I've just never talked to them much. Whereas NASA Space Flight / Boca Chica gal, she was immediately, willing to let me use her footage. Really nice gal. So, that's why I watch her live streams when it comes to anything that happens at Boca Chica. That's just my just my perspective. However, I'm sure Lab Padre are great people as well. I've just never talked to them really. Scott Manley, says Sigmund. Yes, what the heck is wrong with me? There are so many of them. Yes, I watch Scott Manley as well. He is an incredible expert when it comes to these things. Anytime I need to make sure I'm right about something, I oftentimes will look at Scott Manley to research it in detail. because yeah, he knows his stuff. And so does Tim Dodd for that matter. They were the inspirations for me to start this channel in the first place. Great stuff. Okay, Framrick says the moon appears to be a far more valuable place now than we have all been led to believe over the last 50 years. Being slightly cynical, are the new announcements time to help provide support for the Artemis program, especially just before an election? And yes, Framrick wants to point out that he's British, but really supporting a return to the moon. Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. This could be a big statement saying, hey, Biden, if you end up winning this thing, then it's in your interest to stay the course with Artemis. And by the way, I've said this a number of times. I've done this myself, but call your congressman, call whatever representatives in your area, the Biden campaign, whoever, and just encourage them that if the Democrats do win this election, then stay the course with Artemis. They don't have to stop this just because it's something that Pence and Trump created. It's be incredibly stupid to do something like that. And I'm really hoping that if Biden does win this election, that he isn't incredibly stupid. There's plenty of places that we can cut money from in the American budget that won't be as damaging as cutting money from Artemis. That would be an enormous mistake. So like I say, I'm encouraging everybody, if you're American especially, call your representatives, call the Biden campaign, call everyone, and tell them your opinion on these things. Okay. Yes, it should indeed be a bipartisan approach. I totally agree. Isn't the Trump administration shutting down Sophia? NASA's Sophia Airborne Observatory faces termination again. Boy, I didn't know about that. But maybe it is. There's one thing I'm wondering about. Do they use Sophia to observe the Earth as well? Is that something that we use for climate change study? I hate to bring up that subject again, but I'm just wondering if that's something that it's used for. I know that NASA is heavily involved in climate change study, but given that the Trump administration is not really much of a believer in climate change, that would be one reason to shut that down. But then again, who knows? Who knows what the real motivations are? I'm very happy the United Kingdom has signed, says Framrick, the Artemis Accords, and hoping that there will be significant international cooperation for lunar landings, a lunar gateway, and beyond. Yes, I totally agree. I'm looking forward to. And I want everybody to sign these accords. I'd like the Russians to sign them, the Chinese to sign them, everybody sign them. Let's all work together. But so far that's not the case. So it's right now we need to look at things from a perspective of competition rather than collaboration with China and Roscosmos. Until we have some sort of agreement. And if they don't like the Artemis Accords, let's negotiate something else, but let's at least get an agreement in principle to not fight over lunar resources. Let's hope so. And again, tomorrow's announcement may make a big deal to all of that. I want to see Terran astronauts who may have national mission patches head out to the moon and to the asteroid belt of Mars in my lifetime. Me too. Me too. I think that will be. Sophia is used to study for astrophysics only, infrared astronomy. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. I didn't think it had anything to do with the whole global warming thing. So who knows? It could simply be that the SLS has sucked up so much stinking money that they need to shut down other programs in order to pay for the damn thing. It's hard to say. You'll need a replacement tea mug or maybe something bigger, as I'll miss the Boeing mug. I will never miss this thing. I love coffee, but no, the Boeing mug is It holds coffee as well as anything else, but no, I'm going to greatly love blasting this thing apart or doing whatever I need to do. Sorry, my throat. Non-stop talking. Something that something a lot of people have given me a hassle about in my life. Never keep my mouth shut. Okay. SLS, yes, Avinash, I agree. Nothing but money. And it's really sabotaging a lot of other things too. I mean, Congress's recent decision to only provide a limited amount of money for the development of a lunar lander, that needs to be changed. How ridiculous can you get there? There's no way we can develop a lunar lander with the money that they approved. What's the point of having the SLS if you can't land on the moon? It's ridiculous. SpaceX Starship thermal tile mug. Uh, okay, I do have a lot of SpaceX stuff here, and really what I want to do is have more of a mixed representation when we're talking about what I put on my set. Okay, Tyrannosazi says, so here's a thought. NASA is making a big announcement. We don't yet know what it is. And SpaceX just painted a nose cone in NASA colors the other day. Coincidence? Huh. Very interesting. Are they going to make an announcement that they're going to use a lunar starship, or that they have that in mind? Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. However, Avinash does point out that it doesn't involve Sophia. Yeah, that's true. Why would there be a connection there? And that is a good point, Avinash. Framrick says, do you think, okay. Okay, so no, not a coincidence, says Framrick. Okay, so we have a lot of people still typing. Once again, contest, 2 items being given away. You have my email address. It's in the description. I think I'm going to get a lot of replies. What do you think what do you think the announcement is going to be? And what do you, and then from my War on the Moon video, what were the reasons that I listed as to why we would fight over the moon? And there's more than one right answer on that. So in any event, and you'll be entered into the contest, depending, of course, on how many answers you get right. And also additional entries are put in for Discord supporters, Patreon supporters, but it isn't just for Patreon people, though. Any subscriber can participate. So, I just, once again, to emphasize, I don't believe in contests that are exclusively restricted to Patreon supporters. I don't believe in the idea of people having to pay me to get into a contest. That seems wrong. But at the same time, those who do support me should get a few extra entries. So that's kind of the compromise that I've worked out here. Okay, so regarding NASA's funding history with all of its changes, no wonder SpaceX is moving the way it is. Yeah, perhaps SpaceX plan path takes into account any funding cuts between administrations, so they can effectively do most of the space highway stuff themselves. Yeah, well, I think that they kind of see that they need to do that. We have no idea what's going to happen with NASA, and we never do. So SpaceX does have to go it alone, or at least have to be ready to go it alone. Let's hope that they don't have to, but they may have to. And that's one of the reasons why I think that they're launching so many of these Starlink satellites. I mean, they're launching these things like crazy, for very good reason. They need the revenue to support to support their ambitions. They need that revenue, and so far it hasn't produced any revenue yet. They've paid a lot of money to put up all those satellites. So, they need to start seeing a return on their investment, and they're not going to get that until they get a lot more satellites up. Like I say, we have beta tests and stuff, but not really, full-fledged service yet. Although the packet delivery, throughput, all that kind of stuff seems to be really good with this system with the initial tests. So far, it seems to be working really well. We already know it'll be because of microgravity manufactured fiber optics. Yes, that is one thing. is anything manufactured on the moon or in space. There are unique aspects to different gravities to where we can manufacture different types of material a lot easier in space or on the moon than here. I think the announcement of some kind of robot accompanying the astronauts to help in emergencies. Sophia Honda Asimo, the Boston Dynamics Atlas. Wow, that's an interesting idea, Ricker. Very interesting idea indeed. So yeah, very, very unique possibility, but maybe, who knows? If Starship and Lunar Starship work, it is worth carrying on with the Dragon XL. Or is it always best to have parallel success paths in the case the Starship suffers problems? Dragon XL is launched via the Falcon Heavy. Yeah, I'm always a supporter of not putting all your eggs into one basket, not until we are absolutely certain that that Starship is going to be the solid replacement, until it has a lot of successful test flights and, a lot of successful actually operational flights should SpaceX abandon everything else. That's just my opinion anyway. Spot from Boston Dynamics would be great on the moon. Yes. Or a lunar rover, a lunar rover, actually, literally. Yes. That would be kind of cool to have something like that. Okay, so once again, lots of people watching. Thank you very much. Really happy that I have so many folks in the audience. Once again, all the details of the contest are in there. You do need to be a subscriber if you want to participate in the contest. But the two items, once again, the Olympus Mons hoodie, or you can have some other item from the Olympus Mons line instead of a hoodie, and the Mars Base Alpha line, one item from that, the hoodie being the most valuable, but you can have something else if you want. Or if you want me to create something like, if a lady would like something, specific ladies wear of some kind that comes from Teespring, I'll be happy to design it for you if it doesn't already exist. So long as it comes from either the Olympus Mons or the Mars Base Alpha line, just because it was created by one of my supporters, and I want to put that out there. So because I'm just a big fan of it. And by the way, just to emphasize, that's another way to support the channel if you don't want to be a Patreon supporter. I've got a lot of merch, and I do think that the stuff created by once again by this particular supporter has been Ryan O'Connor, by the way, is his name, and it's been some of my favorites. He did some really good stuff. Okay, so enough of that because we're coming close to the end. Starship is hardly an all eggs in one basket project. Rapid prototyping makes the design very fluid. That's true, Tyrannosaza. You're right. It can be modified, changed, all that sort of thing. We just want to make sure that the design works, that the whole concept, it's got to be effective. Like the whole, refueling in orbit, all of that, we've got to make sure that all that is down, because the Falcon Heavy can deliver payloads all the way to the moon without refueling. The Starship cannot. So we have to make sure that everything about it works and works well before we completely replace all SpaceX products with that. That's just my opinion. But there are some things about Starship that we have to make sure is good. And one thing that Elon emphasized is rapid reusability, very rapid reusability. That is a big thing that he was talking about, and necessary to orbital refueling. You've got to have rapid reusability for orbital refueling. So those are big things he talked about, and I couldn't agree with him more. Framrick says, should we send more lunar sensing satellites to the moon? We have a lot looking down at Earth. we can view the moon from 250,000 miles away, but looking up close from lunar orbit would probably tell us a lot more. Yes, I do agree. And, putting more into orbit around the moon is always a good idea. We need to look our satellite over as thoroughly as we possibly can, because there is so much to be gained from there. We're running short on time, just so you know. I did start late again because of my stupid computer, so I am going to let this go for a bit. Alien Zookeeper says, I think he's talking about more than one company, Starship and Sierra Nevada, Space Plane, and Falcon Heavy for that matter. Yeah, that is kind of what I was talking about. Timothy says, yes, maybe even get a Starlink style constellation in lunar orbit. I agree. That would be a very good thing to have. We need to make the moon part of our entire Earth-based infrastructure. Make it, something that is, an integral part of our civilization, so that we really do go there to stay, instead of someday say, you know what, we don't really think this is all that necessary, and cancel everything. We really need to get a lot invested there. Okay. Framrick says, I'm looking forward to the capstone mission in the first quarter of 2021 via Rocket Lab. Yes, I'm a big fan of them too. Should deploy some decent satellites around the moon. You're welcome, Framrick. You are quite welcome. Yeah, I'm very excited about that too. And the capstone mission is also going to be the satellites are going to be mirroring, the rectilinear halo orbit of the gateway, to see how effective everything is going to be for the lunar gateway, and how effectively it can enter that orbit. Whether or not it can maintain that orbit, it's a dress rehearsal essentially for that. Sanatogen says, if we have a moon internet, then a Boca Chica Gal type of webcam could finally be installed. Yes, indeed. Okay, we have a couple more people typing, and we're going to have to wrap up at that point. So let's go ahead and get these last little comments in. And once again, don't forget, submit your answers. I have a feeling I'm going to have a whole bunch of them. But that's okay. That's all right, because I'm very excited about all of this. So let's see. I'm waiting for these final comments to be put on. Once again, like, subscribe. Okay, if you want to be part of the contest, you at least need to be a subscriber. How is breathing on long space missions accomplished? Liquid oxygen in tanks processed for breathing is rebreathing like deep ocean diver scrubbers. How long can life be for multiple astronauts be supported? That is getting better and better all the time, but we don't have 100% efficiency yet. So that is something to be considered. We do not yet have 100% efficiency to regenerate oxygen. So another something to be considered. Why am I forgetting the name of it? But the European Space Agency has a system for a fully self-contained system that almost is at 100% efficiency, but not quite. All right, Alien Zookeeper has something coming in. I'm waiting on that, and then I'm going to close. So bear with me for just one moment here. Once again, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. So many people who have tuned in. I think that that's a fantastic thing. I'm humbled. Thank you so much. You know how to support this channel. You know how to participate, becoming a Patreon member. So in any event, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Looks like maybe a lengthy comment. I'm going to hold on for just a second. Okay, Tiranasazi just said, space stations use scrubbers. Yes, they do indeed. Okay, Alien Zookeeper, there we go. Not doomsaying, but a Crew Dragon at AI is still tech SpaceX could build out into a lot of orbital infrastructure, cargo to the lunar gateway or whatever, supportive Dynetics working with Sierra Nevada on a space station. Yes, I do think that the Crew Dragon is going to be a part of our operations for a while. I don't think that it's going to go away anytime real soon. I think it's going to be a while before the Starship is going to be regarded as certified safe safe for human transport. So I think it will be important. Don't forget Total Space next week. And I'm going to, we have the link. And follow me on Twitter to learn more. So just I'm repeating everything that's going there. So don't forget about Total Space, and I'll be releasing more about that very soon. So in any event, until we find out what this mission, or rather this discovery on the moon, is all about tomorrow and how it impacts our future of exploring the moon and expanding out into the solar system, I urge all of you to stay angry about space.